Hi everybody and welcome to The Doomed, Episode 2. Judge Damiel and his servants of purity are looking for biological and chemical weapons that they can use in their quest. And they have discovered one of the company's abandoned facilities. And they are determined to go inside. But they're not the only ones on the site. Before this quest, the Doom Tracker has moved one in the category Ruin, and Judge Damiel had the choice to go inside a tomb, but he chose not to. So there will be no modifications because of the Doom Tracker in this battle. The Servants of Purity have 23 renown points. The leader is Damiel. He is a judge. He's tough. He's armed with a Thundergun, and he has upgraded to a Relic blade. He has completed 2 leader ambitions, Supremacy and Prosperity. His next in command is the champion Sothar with a quality of 4. He is fierce, and in this battle he is armed with an Incinerator. And he also has a shield. Then Eilik the Zealot. He has a quality of 5 and he is now tough. He is armed with a Relic blade, but if he is taken out in this battle, he will be gone for good because of his injury from the last battle. Then Franz the Legionnaire with a quality of 5, armed with a blaster. And finally Sigimund the Herald. He's armed with a polearm. And to fight the Servants of Purity in this battle, the Unbound Warband Reborn Coverns with 23 renown point as well. Their leader is an Exemplar with a quality of 3 and fierce. He is armed with blaster and toxic blade. With him he has an Offspring quality of 4, fierce with savage claws and blaster. Then an Engineer, also a quality of 4 with precise, armed with a storm cannon and toxic dagger. Then we have a Seer with a scatter blaster, and finally a Kindred with claws and blaster. And they look deadly. Here we have a top view of the company's facility. And inside the facility are 3 laboratories, and they are the targets of the warbands. If a warband controls 2 laboratories at the end of a round, they will win. And you control a laboratory by being inside of it. And when a warband member is inside a laboratory, 2 things can happen. All shock rolls will be treated as doubles, and they can choose to overcharge their weapons by rolling a d6 for shots or damage. But if they roll once, they will take damage themselves. So it's a bit of a risk. We will see if that happens. This is a conflict, a battle of prestige. Who will reach the labs first? The Reborn Coverns, Unbound Warband, or Judge Damiel and his Servants of Purity? We'll see. But first, we'll roll off. Judge Damiel will use the blue dice, and the Unbound Warband will roll the green dice. And so be it. The Reborn Coverns will activate first. It's round number 1. And on the far side of the complex here, the Engineer will arrive. And his first action is to move. And from this position, he will try to move further. He fails his quality check. He will try again. And no, not this time. He will be exhausted and stay where he is. First Servant of Purity to enter the complex is Sothar, the champion. He will move for his first action. He will try to move a second time, and a roll against his quality will fail. And in his second attempt, he will succeed and he will move again. And he will be exhausted. Now, next up, we have the Offspring with the savage claws and the blaster. First he will move, and then he will attempt another move action. He is good with a roll of 6. He has a quality of 4, and he will move all the way up to the corner of the first lab. From this position, he will be able to fire his blaster at Sothar. 2 shots, and he will hit with them both. Sothar will have to defend himself with a quality of 4, and he will make one of his defense rolls. The other one will fail, so he is hit, and he will roll on the shock table to see what happens. It's a roll of 5, so he will be hit hard and thrown directly away from the Offspring, and he will of course go down. And now the Offspring will be exhausted. Sigimund, the Herald with the huge polearm, will move in his first action. From this position he can see, and he can also move in a straight line towards the Offspring, but that will take a quality roll of 5 for him to be successful. And that's exactly what he gets, so he will have a second move action, and that will take him into base contact with the Offspring, and he can now attack with a quality of 5. So it's 1 attack, but it will do 2 damage if he hits, and he hits with a roll of 6. The Offspring will now have to roll 2 dice to avoid the hit, and it's no good. He will be hit by the polearm, and it's 7 on the shock table, so nothing will happen, but of course he will still go down. A great turn here for Sigimund, and at the end of his turn he can give an ally a free recovery or fight action. So Sothar will try to recover. He will need a 4, and he is up. That was a great turn, a great performance by Sigimund. And now in the far left corner of the complex, the Kindred appears. It has the Adrenaline ability, so it can perform 1 free action but take a point of damage at the end of its turn. So far it has moved, and it will try to move again, and none of the move rolls were successful, so it will stay. And now Judge Damiel himself is inside the facility. First a move action, and then he will try a second move action that will take him around the corner, and from here he will have line of sight to the Kindred. So he will of course fire his Thundergun, and a roll of 6, just as we know the Judge. He is on target. The Thundergun will do 3 points of damage, and the Kindred will fail. Only 1 of them blocked, so it will have to roll on the shock table, and it's a roll of, it's a roll of 6. So it will panic before it goes down, and panic is an attack against the nearest target, so it will fire its blaster against the Judge, and it will actually hit with 1 of the shots, so the Judge will now have to defend, and with a quality of 3, he is good. So a panic attack, and the Kindred will go down. And with the Judge now in action, the enemy leader, the Exemplar, will also enter the battlefield. So he will move for his first action to the far right side of the complex. And from here he can see and target Sigimund. He is armed with a blaster, 2 shots. And 1 of them is good with a roll of 3, so Sigimund will be hit. He will have to defend himself. 1 roll and 1 roll of 6. He shakes off the shot like it was nothing, but the Exemplar still has 1 action left. He will try to roll for movement, and he rolls a 1, so he will stay where he is. Out in the open, Franz is up next. He moves for his first action, and then he will try to move again. He will need a 4 because he can see his leader, and with a roll of 6 he will move to this point, and he can still see the Judge, and he is loyal, so he can now shoot with a quality of 3 with his blaster. So he will shoot the Engineer, so he needs a 3, but the Engineer is partially concealed, so he will need a roll of 4 instead. And the blaster has 2 shots, and he will hit with one of them. The engineer with a quality of 4 must now block the shot. And he does. So a lot of shooting, but no damage this time. But close to Franz, the Seer now approaches. One move action that will take him in cover here, but he will have line of sight to Franz, and he will be able to fire his Scatter Blaster. 3 shots with a quality of 5. Ooh, and that looks like an extraordinary good shot. He will hit with all 3 shots. Poor Franz will have to make 3 rolls of 5, and it's 3 rolls of 4 instead. Unfortunately, not what he was looking for. He will be hit, and the roll is 9 on the shock table, so he will crawl away. He will have a free move, and let's see, he will move through this large door and to the other section of the complex. He will move away, and here he will, of course, go down. And then the Seal tries to move again, but he failed his move roll. Instead, he will use his Link ability. So at the end of his turn, an ally he can see can make a free move, and he will grant that free move to the engineer, who is now at the corner of the lab. And the final servant to enter the complex is Eilik, and that's no coincidence, because he was injured in the last battle. And if he is taken out in this battle, he's out for good. So first a free move action, and then he will complete his second move. And he is at the doorway now. And I think he will try to make a third move action to get inside the lab. He has a quality of 5, so even though he can see the judge, he will not succeed his final move action. And that was the last action in the first round. All the Warband members are now inside the facility. The Kindred is down, the Offspring is down, but so is Franz. And so far, none of the labs are under control. Let's go to round number 2. And the Offspring down on the floor of the facility will try to recover. So it will need a 4, but that's a failed recovery attempt. And no further recovery can be attempted in his turn. So next up is the judge. And he will move to the corner of the lab. And he will target the Seer with his Thundergun. And once again, the judge is completely reliable on target. 3 damage from the Thundergun against the Seer, and with a quality of 5, he will fail, and he will have to roll on the shock table, and that looks like doubles. It's double 5, 10. He will have a last gasp, perform a free action, and that free action, of course, will be to fire his Scatter Blaster with his last breath, and he will hit everything else but the judge, and then go down. And the judge will attempt a second move action, and he's good, so he will move, and that enables him to look inside the lab through the window, a strategic position. The Kindred is down, so a recovery attempt is needed, and it's good with a roll of 6, so it will jump back up, and still 2 actions left. So the first action is a move action right up to this crate. And from here, he will be able to see Eilik, and that could be dangerous. It will fire 2 shots from the blaster. A roll of 5 is needed, and there will be a hit. 1 hit. Eilik must now defend himself. This could be really dangerous. He will not defend, so he'll have to roll on the shock table. And what will happen? It's a roll of 4. it's an opportunity. The attacker gets a free move or attack. So Eilik is down, but the Kindred can move again or attack. It has already shot, so it will not be able to shoot again, but it will be able to take a move action, and it will try to move towards the lab here. And it will take a roll of 5, so no. It will stay behind the crate. Sothar will aim at the Offspring with his first action. So he will try to shoot him out, and he will roll 3 dice, and they are everywhere, but at least 1 hit here. So he will hit once with his Incinerator, and the Offspring must now defend. He has a quality of 4, and he defends. He makes his quality roll, otherwise he would have been taken out. That was the champion Sothar's first action. Then he will move towards Franz, and then he will try to help him recover. So the final action is a recovery attempt, and no, not enough. So Franz is still down. The enemy leader will move. He will move into base contact with the Offspring, and from here he can target Sigimund with a shot from his blaster. 2 shots, 1 of them will hit. Sigimund is hit. He must roll to avoid the hit, and he once again shakes off the shot. He seems like he's made of steel. And the leader's final action is a recovery attempt, but it's no good. And now Sigimund will turn around, and he will attack the downed Offspring with his polearm. And he is good, and the Offspring must defend, and he fails, so he's out. And the dice rolling took place off screen, I'm sorry, but that was what happened. But Sigimund is not finished yet. From his position here, he can draw line of sight all the way to the judge. So he will make a move action, and exactly a 4 is enough. So he will move to the door of the lab. And the engineer behind the lab here is up next. He moves closer, and from this position he can see Franz. He will target him with his storm cannon, 3 shots. He will hit on a 4, and he will hit. And he will be able to re-roll because of his precise ability. So at the end, he will hit with 3 shots at poor Franz. And that looks almost impossible for him to block. And if he fails them all, well, he blocks 1, but still he fails the other. And that was the end for the Legionnaire Franz this time. He's out. And for his third action, the engineer will try to move again. He'll have to roll for movement. And no, it's a 3. He will stay there. Eilik was injured in the last battle, and he's already underground again, and his recovery attempt is no good. He's tough, so he can re-roll, but, well, he failed again. That was the end of the second round. Sigimund fights a brave battle on the right side of the complex against an Offspring and the leader, and the judge is again very effective. Let's go to the third round. First unit to activate is the Kindred. He will jump over the crate, and that will be his first move action, and he has a clear shot at the judge now with his blaster, and he will hit with 1 of the shots. Judge Damiel is once again forced to block the shot, and he is good. So what will the Kindred do next? Try to enter the lab, but he fails his move, so he will stay right next to the judge. And then Sothar, the trusty champion, will make a move action. And from this position he can fire his Incinerator at the engineer. 3 shots hitting on 4s, so at least 2 hits against the engineer. So he must try to block the shots. He has a quality of 4, that he fails both dice rolls. So he will have to roll on the shock table, and it's a roll of 7. He will go down, but nothing else will happen. But Sothar and the Incinerator has the Blaze ability, so he can shoot at a second target in this turn, and he will target the Kindred. And yet again, he is on target. The Kindred is forced to block 3 shots. And he will dodge one of the shots, but he will be hit by the 2 others, and he rolls 5 on the shock table. He is thrown away, and he's down. The Exemplar, leader of the Unbound Warband, can hear the gunfire in the complex. He steps around the corner and he fires his blaster against Sigimund. And this time at point-blank range, Sigimund will not block the shot. Finally, he is hit. And he rolls doubles. Double 4, it's opportunity. It's as bad as it can be. Sigimund is taken directly out of this battle. He fought bravely, and the leader will have yet another attack or move. And he will move inside the lab. So now the Unbound Warband controls 1 lab. And the judge cannot have that. He will move into base contact with the Kindred. And he will attack with his Relic blade. Only 1 hit. But will the Kindred be able to avoid the hit? It's on the ground, and no, the blade will strike deep into the flesh of the Kindred and remove it. Judge Damiel still has 1 action left. He will turn around and try to enter the lab. And with a roll of 3 against his quality, he is good. He will now control the second lab. So whoever controls the third lab at the end of this round will actually win, and the engineer here has a chance to do it. But it takes a recovery first. He will need a 5. No, he will stay on the ground. And what about Eilik? And he will still rest behind the crates. The Servants of Purity have lost 2 Warband members. The judge has taken control over 1 of the labs. The middle lab is not yet controlled, but the right lab here is controlled by the enemy leader. And there are still 2 members of that Warband left. It's round 4. The Reborn Coverns' chance to win is to get the engineer up. He needs a 4, and he has recovered. He's now standing, and he can make a free move action right up to the door, to the lab, and then he will have to move again, but no, he will not enter the lab, but he's so very close. Sothar must stop him. He will move to the corner of the lab, and from here he can fire his Incinerator once again. So 3 shots, and he will hit with 2 of them. So will he be able to take down the engineer to the doorstep of the lab? The engineer will block 1, but fail the other, so he is hit, and the roll on the shock table, it's a 5. He will, so to speak, be blasted away from the door by Sothar's shot. It looks bad for the enemy leader. He will stay inside the lab. He will not move anywhere, and he has no one in line of sight. And Eilik, finally Eilik gets a 5, and he recovers back into action. And his first or second action after recovery will be to enter the lab. So the judge now will be able to leave the lab without losing control of it. And he moves for his first action, and then he targets the engineer already on the ground. And he will hit with his Thundergun. 3 points of damage, and he will block 2, but he will, unfortunately for the engineer, take 1 damage. That will remove him. And that was a very important shot from the judge. Now the enemy leader will not be able to take control of 2 labs all by himself. He will leave the complex, and he will face the fact that he has lost. The mission is complete for the Servants of Purity. They will search for biological and chemical weapons, but the victory has a price. Sigimund, who fought so very bravely, will roll on the casualty table, and he will roll a 5, so he is lost in the next mission. And then Franz, who was taken out by the engineer. Oh my god, he rolls very low. He has to pass a quality test, otherwise he will be dead. He will need a roll of 5, and it's a 2. Franz will take his last breath, and then he will be lost forever. Franz was a loyal soldier, but he knew the risk. Now the Servants of Purity will have to continue without him. Thanks a lot for watching this battle report. I hope you'll join me for future bad reps.